My name is Madeline Ginsberg, and I'm the Multimedia Editor for the UMD Statesman. The following video is an actual account of one UMD student's experience with sexual assault.
Hello, I'm a UMD student, and I'm 20 years old. And I have been told that I was sexually assaulted 2 times. They were both when I was 16 and in high school, so I haven't experienced that in college. And both times I used to drink a lot. I used to drink a lot, do a lot of drugs, and I actually went to treatment for it. It was pretty bad. And so the first time I was 16, and I wasn't driving, but I was in a car with a bunch of friends. I'm from a small town, and so we all kind of convened in the same spots. And I was blackout drunk. I don't remember anything. But I just know that I just remember bits and pieces of having sex with a guy my age in the back of a car, and I was blackout drunk, and I know he was sober. And he didn't use a condom, and he just kind of got in the back of my car, and he just did that. And then afterwards, I remember driving to a spot that I used to park a lot and crying for like 3 hours, and it started blizzarding out, and that's kind of all I can remember of it. But I remember crying because I didn't want it, and I didn't want it to happen. And not only that, but I was embarrassed because I know we didn't have a parking lot. I know people watched and people took videos. And the next day, I don't think I've ever been so ashamed or embarrassed in my entire life. And people were telling me like kind of how bad I was getting, but they were telling me too like that this guy shouldn't have done it because he was sober and I wasn't. I guess now because I just know that I was so drunk and I was so blackout that like I don't see how it's anyone else's fault. I don't see how it's. I mean, again, he took advantage of me, but like I shouldn't have been drinking. I shouldn't have been out and driving. So.
Are you saying that you feel like it's your fault because you were drinking?
Yeah, I was drinking, and when I drink, I was always a blackout drinker, and I mean, I could have been asking for it too, so I went to treatment. I've been drinking for years.
So are you worried at all that if you did drink, that it might happen again?
I didn't know what would happen again if I did, because that's like the type of drinker I was, and I always put myself in those types of situations. And I haven't told anyone really or talked about it ever. But I remember like going to school that next Monday, and I remember him touching me in the hallway, and he just touched my shoulder, and I don't think I've ever felt so scared in my entire life. But then like one person I told just asked me what type of people did I used to hang out with.
This was the first time that ever happened to you?
Yeah, and I told myself I was going to stop drinking. That was in March. It was March, my like junior year of high school. I didn't. And then it happened again. Maybe, I think a month later. And I was at a house party. And it was a big one. There was probably 50 or 60 kids there. And again, it was blackout. And I remember waking up on the couch, and people would drown all over me. And I kept drinking. And then I passed out again in a bedroom. And the sun was coming out at this time, like such large day. And I made a point to lock the door. I thought I did, but I made a point to lock the door because I really didn't want anyone coming in there. And then I thought I locked the door, tried to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden the door opened, and 3 guys walked in, and they brought in this one guy with them and said, "We brought you a present," and I just remember saying, "No, please get out, like, no, I don't want you in here, get out." And they just kept bringing him in there. And I just kept saying no, and they threw him in the room, and then walked out and they locked the door behind them. And I was still like drunk and whatever, so I was like, I could hardly move, I could hardly get out of bed. And so guy came in there and just immediately went on top of me and it was like, keep saying no or just do it. I just didn't know what happened and I'd already said no, and so it was like, keep saying no and who knows, or just do it and not have to deal with it anymore. When the guy came into my room, it wasn't just like, it wasn't like whatever, let's do this. It was like, if we don't do this, I don't know what's gonna happen. And so we did it, but the whole time all I could think about was how I wish I was anywhere else. And how I wish that I would have never got myself into that situation in the first place, and how I wish that I would have known better, and how I wish that you would get off of me, and how I just wanted to go faster so it can be over and I can go to sleep, and then when I wake up, pretend that nothing happened. And that's all I could think about the whole time. So I don't know what it was, but I know that I didn't want it. And I guess that'd be the difference. The difference between consensual and non-consensual sex. And I didn't want to be there. But I was afraid what would have happened if it didn't.
In your own words, what would you define as consent?
Say that consensual sex is both saying yes and both wanting it and not changing their minds halfway through, but being there and being involved the whole time, I guess, and being comfortable with it.
Is it still hard to go day to day?
I still think it was my fault, so it's not, so I don't feel so victimized as I do like guilty. So it's one reason why I don't drink is because I know I get myself into situations like that all the time. But it's more just like I don't know, like it's just always my fault. I don't know, I don't like being alone in rooms with guys I don't know. Or even if I do know them or whatever, I just feel like every guy just wants one thing from them. I've never talked to like either of them again. I never talked to anyone about it, so I don't know.
I guess I should.
Looking back, I wish I would have talked. I wish I would have talked to someone about it, just so I wouldn't be so confused. But at this point in my life, it's just like something that happened.
Have you ever thought about, even though it's years later, have you ever thought about talking to somebody now?
No. Like, sometimes I think about it, but then I get too scared and embarrassed. I don't say anything. I think it was more just like, I don't know what happened, and I don't know what happened, and I don't really understand what happened, but it's been so long that I just need to have it out in the world instead of in my mind any longer.
Is there anything you would want to say to people who have either been sexually assaulted somebody, or even people who haven't been?
I guess the people that have been sexually assaulted or are in my situation, I hope that they're more brave than I was. I hope that they can get out there and talk about it because they need to. And for people that haven't been, or for other people in the community, I hope that they don't make girls feel the way that I do.
How do you feel?
Blamed. Because I did get called a whore all the time, and I did get called slut, and people always told me how much I slept around. People I went to high school with, to this day, still remind me much. So I hope people don't. People don't do that. People don't shame girls. It's not their fault.
So if it's not their fault, it's not yours too, right?
We'll figure it out.
Have you let what happened to you affect your social life in any way?
I think my social life is 10 times better because I don't drink anymore, and I don't need to go out, or I don't need to drink when I go out to have fun, and I know that. And so I think I am a lot more comfortable with myself because I know that I can be in a situation like that and be comfortable with myself and be happy with myself, and I'm aware of everything that's going on around me, and I don't have to feel unsafe or uncomfortable. And I'm aware of what's going on around other people too, which makes me feel even more comfortable and more aware.
If you or someone you know of had a similar experience, in the description below are links to some resources on campus for help.